Welcome back to Gaelic Games Fan TV. Wexford 128, Galway 23 points. What an incredible win for Wexford. They stunned Galway at Wexford Park. It's their first win versus Galway in 20 years in the championship. First win since 1996, I believe it was. So absolutely, or 28 years, I think it was, wasn't it? 28 years. Absolutely incredible stuff there from a Wexford perspective to get the win. And remarkable, absolutely remarkable. I mean, look, after them losing to Antrim, we all remember what happened last year when they lost to Westmeath. They went out a week later and beat Kilkenny. You were thinking at home in Wexford Park, there's going to be some bite. There's going to be a huge amount of battle in those Wexford lads. I predicted a draw, so I had a funny feeling Wexford were going to do something in this game because it is the most Wexford thing ever to do this. But to win it like that, in that kind of fashion, an 8-point win, and let's not forget, they finished the final 20 minutes down to 14 men. And Keane Byrne, who got sent off, was having actually a very, very good game up until that point before he gets sent off. Jubilation for Wexford, well-deserved winners. Absolutely brilliant from them. Very, very poor from Galway, though. Absolutely no doubt about that. Probably one of the worst performances I've seen from Galway in I don't know how long. Flashbacks maybe to when they lost to Dublin in 2021 in some ways. Was this performance as bad as that? I'm not entirely sure. Like, Wexford are a very, very good side, in fairness. But bizarre, absolutely bizarre. Like, especially in that second half. First half wasn't too bad, like only trailing by 2 points. Conor Whelan had some bright moments in the game. Evan Nyland was obviously keeping them in it at different times. Gavin Lee was doing all right, 2 points from him overall. And Galway were only 2 points down at half time. So I think relatively you were expecting a bounce from Wexford. Look, you were expecting them at home to come flying out of traps. So Galway, I don't think wouldn't have been too disappointed, even being 2 points down at the start of the second half. But it was like when that goal goes in from Rory O'Connor at the start of the second half in the 39th minute, Galway's heads just absolutely dropped. It absolutely dropped. And Galway just seemed to stop playing from that point. And even like when you look at it, like I think they scored something like four points from play, 5 points from play in the second half. Like, for a Galway team, that is not good enough. Not good enough at all. And yeah, like, just very, very, like, there was no real fight about them going into the final 15, 20 minutes. You were expecting them to try and work goal chances, to try and go for goals, and they never really did it. They played this game like it was a league game. They didn't look bothered in the slightest about losing this, in all honesty. Like, and even when that red card happens from Keane Byrne, which, look, it is a blatant red card. There's absolutely no getting away from that. You were expecting then, okay, 20 minutes to go here. Wexford have a 7-point lead. Wexford had a 7-point lead against Antrim last week and blew it. They had a 5-point lead in injury time against Dublin the week before and blew it. So you're thinking, right, this now is where Galway kick on and get back into the game and maybe even win it. Like, at that point, I was even thinking, although Galway had been poor enough until that point, this is what they need now. An extra man, surely they're going to kick on and at least make something out of it. But that didn't even happen. Like, Wexford actually outscored Galway when they were down to 14 men. Like, the lead actually grew in the end. So quite remarkable, really. Massive question marks for Henry Shefflin and for Galway. It does not look good at all if you are a Galway fan. Like, just amount of times they got turned over inside their own half. Like that moment where Adrian he's coming out with the ball and gets completely dispossessed by Rory O'Connor, and then he pops it over the bar. And that was towards the, in the final 10 minutes. And the want and the fight from Galway was just not there in the slightest. Kept on pucking long, aimless balls that was being gathered up brilliantly by the likes of Conor Foley and Damien Reck. There was no real, and even you're looking at Galway's bench and you're thinking, can Galway's bench make a bit of an impact? And even that didn't happen either, to be perfectly honest. So very, very worrying from a Galway perspective. 3 points from their opening 3 games. We all expected that they would have enough to get to a Leinster final, but you're looking at it now and you're thinking, Leinster is completely blown wide open. What is supposed to be a very predictable Leinster championship now, you couldn't call who's going to make the Leinster final. Like, Wexford are definitely back in the conversation. Dublin might potentially have an opportunity still, and Antrim will certainly look at this and think that's not a bad result either. So absolutely crazy stuff. But look, just going through Wexford and some of their top performers, you have to shout out Lee Chin, 11 points. Again, absolutely incredible. I think he hit 9 points in the first half. Absolutely brilliant performance from him. You had Rory O'Connor, who was absolutely brilliant as well, 1-6. And brilliant, well taken goal from him as well. And obviously the dispossession that we were speaking about on Adrian Toohey to then put the ball over the bar straight after that. That was absolutely brilliant as well. Conor McDonald, 2 points from him. The problem with Wexford last week was that they weren't getting enough from outside of Lee Chin. Like Lee Chin scored 211 last week and Wexford lost. Do you know what I mean? He actually scored less this week. He scored 11 points but didn't score the 2 goals. And Wexford have won. Do you know that way? So they got a lot more from their forwards today in Rory O'Connor, Conor McDonald, Keane Byrne, obviously, before he went off. Mark Fanning, very good on a few frees. Connor Foley, Damien Reck, both getting on the score sheet as well. Massive win for Wexford. Massive win for Keith Rossiter. Like, that will give these Wexford lads a huge amount of confidence. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And, like, they obviously play Carlow, I think, next. They then play Kilkenny. So all of a sudden now, what was looking like it was going to be another season of turmoil for Wexford after losing to Antrim. Now you look at it and think, who's to say Wexford don't reach a Leinster final? Yeah, quite remarkable. Galway, though, like they need to get their act together. They really, really do. Like, this is year 3 now for Henry Shefflin. They don't look like they're improving. I think if they hadn't have won, even if they didn't win Leinster this year, there would have been massive question marks, let alone not even get to a Leinster final. So, yeah, there is massive question marks over Henry Shefflin, this Galway side. No doubt about that. Like, Conor Whelan, Conor Cooney, fairly anonymous in the second half. Aside from Evan Nyland, Gavin Lee, Tom Monaghan, who I thought done all right. But aside from that, there was just nothing there from Galway. There was no... You were kind of waiting for them to click into gear in the final 10, 15 minutes. You were waiting for a push. You were waiting for them to get a goal chance. They never never ever looked like scoring a goal, and they needed a few going into the final couple of minutes. So very, very worrying there from Galway. They look flat, they look tired, they look leggy. They look very similar to how Tipperary looked against Limerick last week. And what's even more worrying is that, that was Tipperary coming up against the best team in the country in Limerick. This is Galway coming up against Wexford, who played the final 20 minutes a man down and have really struggled in the final quarter of matches up until this point. So, yeah, if I was a Galway fan, I would be worried. There would be question marks over Henry Shefflin. Obviously, look, you stick behind the lads, you stick behind the team going into the final 2. Galway should still have enough at the bare minimum to get out of Leinster. Imagine they didn't get out of Leinster. That would be absolutely extraordinary. But look, obviously it has happened before. You remember 2019. So, funny enough, it is Dublin and Galway, I think, in the final game as well. So, yeah, worrying signs for Galway, no doubt about that. But phenomenal from Wexford. The way they work the ball between the lines as well. Conor Hearn as well in round midfield, brilliant from him. And just the work rate, the intensity, the energy that those Wexford lads brought, I thought was absolutely brilliant, in fairness. And you could tell the crowd, like watching the game on GA Go, you could tell the crowd were absolutely bang up for it. 100% all got behind the team and they got their reward today. Jared says, an absolute disgrace. This game wasn't televised in RTE. Same thing tomorrow. Horse racing, yes. GA come back later. Yeah, look, it is a massive shame because it was a brilliant game. And it was a bit like last week. The Antrim Wexford game was a brilliant game and that wasn't on RTE either. I do agree. Yeah, look, it is very disappointing. But look, at least we got to see it because, many a times these TV companies somehow don't show certain games, which is a little bit bizarre. But look, at least we got to see this. And, a selection of people who have a GA Go subscription would have got to see it. But yeah, huge win for Wexford. And look what a hurling championship it's proven to be. What a Leinster championship it's proven to be. They're in a championship where there's supposed to be so many predictable results, aside from Kilkenny giving Antrim, an absolute whooping. There really hasn't. Galway beat Carlow, but didn't look particularly convincing in doing so either. So yeah, there's worrying times from a Galway perspective. But what's going on there? That's tomorrow. Yeah. So anyway, man of the match. Look, you'd have to go for Rory O'Connor. 1-6, outstanding performance. brilliant performance from him. But you could look at Lee Chin as well, Damien Reck, Connor Foley, both all extraordinary. Mark Fanning, very good as well, especially on puck outs. So yeah, Wexford, brilliant for them. And for Galway, massive question marks need to be asked. Anyone who tuned in, if you could hit the like button and subscribe, helps the channel grow. That would be much appreciated. But until the next one, we'll speak again soon.